Okay. Let's get this going here. And there's me. Hello. Can everyone hear me? I bet you can. Okay. Welcome to the basement again. I thought it would be fun today to can't hear shit. Really? No way. That can't be true. It's a little quiet. How about now? I bet it's louder. So quiet. Voice is a bit low. You're still quiet. How about now? Is it better? So delayed. I don't know how to fix that. 50% too low. How about now? I bet it's pretty loud. Better. Great. Okay. Cool. Oh, I know why. How about this? Boop. How about now? There we go. Okay. There we good. Alright, so, anywho. So, I thought it would be fun today to kind of go through all of the things that I'm doing on stage when we play. There's a lot of stuff happening, and it's kind of crazy sometimes, and I thought it would be kind of interesting to kind of go through all that with y'all, because people ask me all the time, like, how do you get this thing to do that, and how does that work, and what's going on here, and how do you play the keyboard with the bass, and the yada yada yada. So I'll show you all how to do that, and I thought it would be also cool to show you guys how, when we're a three-piece, I play the bass through a guitar amp, shifted an octave, to make guitar sounds, sort of, which is kind of wacky. I'll show you how me and Kevin set up a network for our in-ears so we can control them with our cell phones, which is pretty neat. And I'll show you guys how to make a stage plot for a band, because delay is around 1200 milliseconds, I'd say, if you want to troubleshoot. Alright, well, let's see if we can fix that. Oops. Is it better now? I bet it's better now. I bet it's better now, right? Yeah, okay. That was me trying to screw with something before and forgetting to fix it. Anyways, I'm new at this. We're trying. So yeah, so that's what I think we're gonna do today. So right away, thank you, Justin, helping me out here. Yes. So right away from the beginning, I think this might be a thing I want to do maybe weekly, where we can kind of talk about stuff. Maybe I'll come on for like an hour and we can just kind of discuss how things work. If you guys want to ask about songs or about just theory or stuff like that, or just methods, stuff like that, we can just talk about that. That'd be fun. Yeah. And then the other thing is, this is cool. I like doing this, but if you want to throw me some bones while this is happening, there's a cat picture. Click on that. Whatever. Yeah, so anywho, so I think the first thing we should go through is the basses. So I have a few of them. If you're seeing the Jeff Band live, or me live, you're probably seeing me play this bass, which is a Fender bass. It is a Fender parts bass. It's got the neck of a jazz bass, as you can see. And it has the body of a P bass. And these pickups are quarter pounders. They are not stock, but they are sick. I put them in all my basses. This bass is from 2016, I believe. It is the American Professional Series, which was a thing they did for like 2 years. I think this replaced the American Standard issue. They did it for like 2 years, and then they're like, that's confusing, and they went back. But Fender is very cool. They're very nice to us. Jason gave me a nice deal on this, so I could make this bass the way I liked. I don't even think you can get rosewood necks anymore. I think this was the last year they did that. But yeah, if you see us, most likely, I'm playing this bass. Let's see what it sounds like. Y'all hear that? That sound like anything? I think it sounds like, yep, cool. So, I figure we'll go through what they all sound like real quick. So this bass, the reason I use it most of the time is because, one, it's not very heavy, and if If you want to jump around for a long time, playing a heavy bass is hard. And 2, it sounds good. It sounds the most... It covers the most area for rock and punk than any other bass does. If you were going to buy a bass today and you asked me, what should I get? I would say get a Fender jazz bass or a P bass. Probably a P bass, but they're a bit heavier. The reason I put these jazz bass necks on them is because I have small baby hands and I have to play fast ska all the time. So that's why I kind of mod these basses a little bit to fit my particular playing style. You can play a jazz bass a little faster than you play a P bass, but they sound great. They're really good sounding basses, and you really can't go wrong with one. So let's see what this thing sounds like. This is basically straight into my computer. I have a little MXR bass DI that's like adding like a little bit of color, because like a bass without that plugged into your computer sounds very, very bad. So this is kind of helping out a little bit, but we can play some couple things just so you can kind of get the idea what this bass sounds like. So that's what that, it's like with a pick. That's a Jeff song called Rainbow that y'all seem to like. And then there's another Jeff one. So that's what this bass kind of sounds like. So it's the one I'm using the most. Also, they make a lot of these. So if shit goes wrong and it breaks or it gets stolen, I can get another one. They're not hard to find. Fender, they're making basses every day. So let's see. Let's move on to another bass. Let's see what's happening here. So, if you ever saw the band bomb the music industry, I almost certainly was playing this bass, which is a red Lakeland Duck Dunn signature series. I think I got this in like 2012, maybe. It's basically the same bass as, was it the scrunchy thing on the top of the neck, dude? The scrunchy thing on the top of the neck. Yeah, oh yeah. If you have questions, just ask me. Just constantly ask me questions, because I like to talk to you all. The scrunchy thing on the top of the neck is I play with a lot of gain and fuzz and bullshit on. So a lot of that just resonant notes when I'm playing will pick up because there's so much gain going through the amp. That scrunchy, what that does is that kind of chokes any just open strings from making any noise I don't want them to make. So it kind of just chills out the other couple strings that I'm not playing from, you know, letting some like harmonics or whatever get through when I'm not playing those notes, just because there's so much signal coming off my bass. Because we'll get to that. I'll show you guys my pedal board and what I'm doing, and you see there's a lot of things over driving it. So that kind of chills that out. So anyways, so there's this bass. This bass, I love this bass. I got this from Lakeland. They made it for me, which was really cool. Specifically for me, which was super nice. I got to meet Dan, the guy that owned it for a while. He handed me this bass. It rocks. It's basically the same thing as my Fender bass. The neck is a little longer, I feel like, and it's a lot thinner. It's a little more like a Geddy Lee jazz bass than a regular jazz bass. The body is still very P bass-ish. The pickups are also Seymour Duncans. Yes, I'm one of the 4 non-Daves. The pickups are also Seymour Duncans. They're just older. It's also strung through like my Fender is. And it's super light and it's super easy to play. I love this bass. The only reason I don't play this bass live anymore is because if anything happened to it, I would be crushed. They don't make this one like this anymore. So this specific bass is hard to find. So I would be very sad if if anything happened to it. So this bass sounds like this. So that's with the pick. I'm gonna kind of play the same thing every time, just so you can get a, you know, a understanding of what they all sound like. And then yeah, so that's what that bass sounds like. This is my favorite bass to play. It's super easy to play. This bass fucking rocks. It doesn't sound as big and scary and angry as the Fender, but it sounds pretty close. But like I said, if anything ever happened to this, I'd be super bummed. So I kind of just record with it, and I kind of just record when people ask me to play ska kind of stuff with it, because I think it has a good ska situation going on. All right. Let's go to the next bass. So this is my Rick. Funny story about this bass. I just, at some point, I was like, I need another bass. I just had the Lakeland. Maybe I just had the Fender. Like I just had two basses that were basically exactly the same. I was like, I need another bass that when we play three-piece can get real big and scary sounding. At the same time, we were on tour, and Kevin and Mike kept telling me that I should watch this cartoon, this anime called Fooly Cooly, and I would really like it. And I was like, why would I really like this? And they're like, well, there's this alien girl, and she fights killer robots with a Rickenbacker. And I was like, well, that sounds fine. So finally, after a long, long time, I decided to watch that anime. And then at the same exact time, I was like, I think I'm going to get another bass. And then while I was watching it, I was thinking about getting a Gibson bass, but I couldn't find one I ever liked to play. I was like, well, I should check out a Rick. Ricks might be cool. And then while I was watching the show, I was like, I should check out a Blue Rick because these look really sick. So I found one on Craigslist like that night that was hilariously too cheap. I think like it was like $1,100, and these usually start at like 18. And I went and I met the guy, and I bought it. And then, like a week later, from Kevin and Mike saying, you should watch this anime, I just sent them a picture. I said, hey, do you like my new bass? And they said, I think you really liked that TV show. And I did. But I got the blue one because of Fooly Cooly, because it's... And also, a lot of people don't have this one. This one's hard to... Like, this is a rare color. As far as I go, everyone gets the black one or the red one because of Rush or because of Scott Pilgrim. But I don't know too many people with the blue one. I think the blue one's super sick. It does look nice. This is actually my second one. My first one got stolen in San Francisco, which was a bummer. But I did, and it took me a while to find another blue one, but I did get one. And here it is, and it's great. And I kind of just, and then I didn't know what I was really going to do with this bass. I recorded Post and Worry mostly with this bass. But then I kind of changed it up a little bit, and I put flat wound strings on it. So it kind of has like a real like kind of dead kind of sound. So it's got like a good like thump. It's good for like, you know, old Beatles-y kind of stuff, or just like really just like chill sounding stuff. So it's not really a punk bass anymore. It kind of got a little you know, kind of got indie on me, I guess, but it's still cool. I'll just get it in tune. I haven't tuned it yet today. So this bass sounds like this. Put it right in the middle. I'm in the right pickup, right? Yep. That's what it sounds like with a pick. And then this was actually the bass I recorded. That was the bass I recorded that song with, actually. And then this was the bass I recorded 9 out of 10 with, too. Yeah, so that's this thing. I don't really tour with it because they are hilariously fragile. Do you ever mess with dual output? I don't. I have no idea how that works. Baltris, my friend Chris, he explained it to me once. Didn't make any goddamn sense. I've plugged it into 2 different amps before, but it doesn't. You need like a splitter box. You need like a specific thing to get it to work. It's very weird. It just didn't seem. Yeah, I don't know. No, I've never used it. I've never used it. I never saw the need to, but when I usually do use this bass for playing as a 3-piece when I do split my signal, so I kind of do a similar thing, but not exactly. But this basically is also basically stock. The only thing I did was I took off that dopey metal thing that goes here, and I put this in here just so it kind of chills it out. Hi, Dave. How's it going? But yeah, these basses are very cool. This is a new one. New-ish. It's a 2003. Look, there's my cat. Or 4003. Not as opposed to 4001. They're cool. They're pretty light. They're just super, super fragile, and they're super, super expensive if anything happens to them. And I just don't want to replace one of these things because it's annoying. Side note: if you're a musician, get music insurance because you need that shit. Because I had music insurance, and then when my bass got stolen, it was fine. And there's the cat. Okay. Cat's right there. Hopefully she doesn't jump on the computer, but or probably won't be that lucky. Alright, and then the last bass. This one I just got. This thing is kind of a disaster, and all over the place. So this is a Gibson Grabber, sort of. So it's the body of a Gibson Grabber, but apparently the neck, which I have here, got a twist in it. So they had the neck replaced with this neck. Jesus, the cat. Neck replaced with this neck, which custom neck, which I think is was modeled after a 70s Stingray Music Man. It's pretty sick. It's got this crazy heart, like it's got pink glitter inlay. It's a lunatic bass. It looks ridiculous. Just a wild bass. It's super heavy, which is no fun. But it sounds really cool, I think. It's not as fat sounding as my P bass is. It's got more of like a throaty kind of middle sound. It's really good for punk and like fast punk because it really cuts through. It's really punchy. It doesn't have like the top and the bottom of the spectrum. It's got more in the middle, but I think it sits in a mix really, really well. And it's cool. It's just real freaking heavy. So it kind of sucks to play. But yeah, so this bass sounds like this. So that's that song, and then we have so yeah, so you can hear it sounds a little different than the P and the Rick. But I think it sounds good. I like how this bass sounds, honestly. I wish it was a little lighter. You'll probably see this out with me more in the future. This and the green one are going to probably be the 2 basses I have with me all the time now. This bass is very, very funny. It's very silly. When I bought it, my friend said, looks like the base shows the owner. I would agree. It's very cool. I've never seen a grabber like this. Obviously, this paint is not stocked. Someone did a real overhaul on this thing. Made it crazy. But yeah, this base rocks. It sounds really good. It's just super, super heavy. I think it's a 78, I believe, for that bass. Yeah. So, now, that's all the basses. So, if you see me, you're probably going to see me playing one of those basses. Most likely, this one. So, let's go back to this one. Where's the stupid thing? Alright, so now, let's talk about pedals. I've provided lots of visual aids for this day. Boop! So that's my pedal board. That's a picture of it. So that's what I got going on here. So basically, from right to left, because that's where the bass starts, you have a tuner. Then you have a compression pedal, a TC Electronics compression pedal. That thing has one button and a preset in it that you can pick from your cell phone, and then a lot of presets, but I actually just ended up taking the stock one. This pedal, I have no idea what it's called. It's supposed to be the front end of an orange AD200B. They're like big, like flagship bass amp. So basically, this is a preamp pedal. What I use it for is just an overdrive. You'll see. This is a cloven hoof by, who makes that thing? By Earthquaker Devices. That's my fuzz pedal. This is a Pog. Most of the time when you see us playing, this is doing nothing except me letting me make stupid sounds. And one other thing that I'll explain. And this is an ABY switch. And that is how I play the keyboard through my bass amp at the same time as my bass. John's Pog is Twitch lingo. It sucks. John Pog is Twitch lingo. Really? Okay. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Oh no. Anyways, so let's hear what these things sound like when we turn them all on, huh? So this is just, actually, I know what to do. Hold on. We're gonna switch this and we're gonna go to the live view. Let's move this shit. Let's keep it here. So there's the cat shadow. Can you not be there right now? That'd be super. So this is with it on. This is with the compression pedal off. Sounds a little lower. That's with it on. And now we have with the overdrive. So you can see it kind of, it's kind of just subtle. It's a subtle little overdrive. I kind of add a little, it kind of adds a little bit of bass and a little bit of grit. I kind of throw that on when songs are getting heavy, or like in a big rock and roll part. Yeah, this is a foot cam, I guess. Sorry, Justin. So there's that. So then there's the fuzz pedal. And that's obviously the thing that makes it fuzzy, right? Which is a thing I use. Weird city song. Yeah. So this pedal, turn off. I got because I had like 300 Big Muff pedals over the course of my life, and they all broke. And then Jeff told me you should get an Earthquaker device pedal because they never break. And I said, how do you know that? And he said, I have one and I haven't broken it yet. And he is the benchmark for is shit breakable. He can break anything. So he had it for a long time and it never broke. So I was like, that's what I'm gonna get. So it's called a cloven hoof. They have a pretty famous pedal just called the Hoof, which is a fuzz pedal. and then this one is that pedal with like an extra like lunacy knob. So it's like it does the fuzz that the hoof does, but it makes it crazier. I find a lot of things actually with their Quaker devices, a lot of their fuzz pedals can kind of sound like all their other fuzz pedals. So if you have one, you can probably get the sound from the hoof, or they all kind of can do the same thing. It's cool. It's a cool pedal. It's a little pricey, but it's never broke, and I've had it for years now, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, it's a sick pedal. I like it. I mean, you know, this is with everything kind of like at like 12, 1 o'clock. It can get pretty stupid. Yeah, so that's that. So then we have the Pog. And this literally does nothing of value. It actually does do one thing inadvertently, which I found out. Because I have the ABY thing and the fuzz pedal, something's going on here where I've inadvertently flipped the phase of everything. So if I don't have the Pog pedal, the Pog actually flips it back. So if I don't have the Pog pedal and I'm playing through using my keyboard and my bass, no sound will happen. So the Pog actually fixes a problem that I can't even really explain. I know it has something to do with buffering, or a buffer, and phase, but it does that. So normally I would just get rid of that pedal because I don't ever need it, really. But since it fixes some problem that I can't explain or really diagnose, we just leave it there. And that allows me to have this terrible noise that we can do sometimes. So that's that. So now let's get into the ABY thing. So I don't usually, I don't actually have my keyboard because that is unfortunately in, oh, actually, hold on. I'll show you one more thing. So also the power supply I use for this is something called a DC5, and that looks like this. Boop. And the reason I bought that was because I have a pedal train nano, and then I googled what is the power supply you should buy for the pedal train nano, and then that showed up, and I bought it. It's fine. It works fine. You can switch between European and American voltage power situations, which I always forget to do, and every day at the beginning of a European tour, I blow a fuse on this. You would think at some point I'd remember that. You would be wrong. And that provides a very stressful 24 hours. And then this is what it looks like on the bottom of my board. You can see really, really well installed. Yep. Okay. So, so the ABY thing, let's get to that. So what that is, what's going on with that is, I don't know if you've ever seen the Jeff Band, but there's a lot of stuff happening. Let me actually show you in a visual representation. This right here is the normal stage plot for a 5-piece band. Right? That is the Jeff Rosenstock stage plot. Look at all the junk Dan has over here. Look at all this shit. Too much stuff. So what I figured was, instead of adding a, how many DIs is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Instead of adding a 9th DI for a keyboard, why don't I just get my keyboard to go through the bass amp, since it's usually making a bass sound? Dan looks like a kid and is playing on it. He's got a lot of stuff going on there. So I figured, why don't I get the keyboard to go through the bass amp, since it's making bass synth sounds 9 out of 10 times anywho. So I got this ABY pedal. Let's get that thing back going. I got this ABY pedal, the Whirlwind. It works fine. It's better than the there's a cheap, the Morley. It's better than that one. It's a little better. I don't know. I think they all kind of suck. This one works fine. So what happens here, oops. What happens here is, I don't actually have my keyboard. What happens here is when we turn on, right now it's on just B, but if we turn on both, now we can hear a keyboard sound. I don't actually have the keyboard. We'll just play this. So that's a bad sound. It's very quiet. And you'll hear the bass. So there's the bass, and there's the keyboard. So they both come out of the same situation. Yeah, and that is very helpful in my life, to not have to wait on the sound people to throw out another DI on stage, and I don't have to fuck around with monitors with that situation and trying to hear it, because it's coming out of a giant amp. And my keyboard, I'll show you that. People ask me what that thing is too. Bet you sound guy. Well, we had to start bringing our own sound person because it got too much. You can't ask a local sound person, hey, we need 9 DIs. You just can't do that. It's mean. And it's just not going to work. What else? Oh, and the last show we didn't have our sound person. The person ran out of their room crying. We made him cry. He was so sad because he couldn't wrangle us. We're loud. So he ran out crying, and our tour manager had to be like, you have to go back to work. Sorry. I know they're loud, but you just have to do your job. So at that point, I was like, well, we probably should start bringing our own person. So we bring Rick Johnson from Mustard Plug, and Sharkanoid. They have a new album coming out on Friday. Sharkanoid is my second favorite band. They're the best. Rick is great. Rick helps us in a variety of ways. He fixes all of Jeff's shit when it breaks, which is all the time. My stuff mostly doesn't break. I'm pretty good. My stuff kind of keeps it together. But yeah, sound guys, sound people, we're too much of a mess. We can't even be asked to have them to help us anymore. What is first? Well, anyways, and then the keyboard, just so you can see, the keyboard that I would normally be playing is this guy. This is Korg Mini Lug. It is fine. It is perfectly fine. People like it a lot more than I think they should. It is pretty easy to use. It's pretty fragile. Mine does all sorts of funny things, like the first few notes will just stop working if it's hot. Guess what? It's hot a lot. That shows. Also, it used to detune itself for fun. That was cool. I think I fixed all those things, though. But yeah, so that's the keyboard I'm usually playing. Korgs are way too fragile for expensive. They are very expensive. I think that one actually went down in price, though. All right. So now, let's get into amps, which is fun. I don't have a camera over there, so I'm just going to show you pictures of my amps, if that's cool. I think that's fine. It is cool. This is my fucking thing. So normally, I am playing out of one of these, which is, actually, let's make it bigger. An orange bass terror. Whoops. Why do you want to not get bigger? Stupid thing. An orange bass terror. 1000 watt. So it's hilariously too loud. So there it is. So it's hilariously too loud. It's 1000 watts. I don't think I've ever turned it past 3 or 6:30 or 7 o'clock. That's usually, though, everything else, the treble, mid, the bass, the gain, that's usually what I have it set at. This amp rules. I love this amp. This is my favorite bass amp running away. It's super light. It weighs no pounds. I mean, you can see those are, those bobble pop head figures. It's like, you know, 4 of them are basically the size of the amp. What do you recommend for bass amp? I'm looking to getting one for practical local shows once everything is open again. We'll get there. If you can find one of these, I would buy this. They're really hard to find. They're not cheap, but they fucking rip. They make a 500 watt version that a lot of people have that I think is cool. They also started making a new 500 watt version because this amp is discontinued. They made a new run of it, which I've heard, and they're cool, but it's a little too crazy sounding, I think. It's a little too monster. Like, I mean, if you were in, like, Sleep or, like, a metal, scary Doom band, it'd probably be for you. But, like, if you wanted to play something not terrifying, you're probably not going to find a great sound in there, in the new one. But, yeah, I love this head. This is, you know, I don't ever want to know anything else except this dumb bass head. It fucking rules. It's so loud, and it rocks. It sounds so good. All right, and we'll listen to it in a little bit. So let's see. So let's shrink this down. Can I get this to go where I want it to go? All right, so there's that. And then to go along with it, we have this, an orange bass cab. That's a 410 orange bass cab. It is, what is active versus passive for bass input? Beginner question. Well, the easy answer to that is a passive bass does not need a battery, and an active bass does, because that's the pickup needs a battery. Passive basses are like, all my basses are passive because I don't want to be fucking around with batteries, because I'll forget to change them and then they won't work. So like J basses and P basses are all like 90% of the time like passive basses. Active basses have pickups. They are usually more for like metal or like Primus or 311, shit like that. They can get a little bigger. They're a little clicky, I think. I don't know. They're not for me. I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not trying to throw any shade at anyone, but active basses are not for me. Mostly because you have to change a battery, and that's one more fucking thing to buy. All right, so yeah, this is my bass cab that you will see me playing, and it is an orange 410. I used to have, where is it? This guy. I used to have this thing, which is an Ampeg 810. But I got spoken to by enough of my bandmates about the volume of bass on stage, especially when I play fuzz bass through that amp, that it was kind of unbearable. Or not unbearable, but just all you would really hear was that. So I took mercy on them. And also I was told if I brought a smaller bass cab, we could get a nicer van, because it would fit it. Everyone else in the band plays small combo amps, and then I have this giant thing. So I have this orange 410, which, funny enough, weighs as much as the Ampeg 810. Oops. But it rocks. It's a great amp. It's super good. It's just unbelievably heavy. All right, so let's see if I can figure out how to make it so we can listen to the amps. So give me a second. Going to rerun this mic cable. All right. The amp is warming up. So, all right. Let's just turn the fucking thing on. That is loud. Let's bring that down. All right, so this is what the bass amp sounds like, usually. All right, so that's with the pick. I think you could probably hear that. You can certainly hear it in my house. I'm trying to take out the vocal mic because I don't want it to pick up twice. I have a little 57 in front of it. I don't know if you can see. All right, and then with the fingers. All right, so that's that, and then if we want to get, like I said, gnarly, we go with this. Well, I'll show you the pedal actually. Let's look at that. So now, whoop, wrong one, wrong picture. So now we have the overdrive pedal engaged. So you see, it kind of just like gives it a little bit more life, a little bit more boost. It's not meant to do much, just kind of get a little scarier. Then the fuzz pedal, this will certainly change. Okay, so that's the fuzz. Yeah, so there's just a lot happening there with that. So it's basically every pedal in the line just makes everything a little louder and scarier. So that's that. That's what my amp sounds like. Yeah, and it's pretty small, which is cool. So that's that. So let me just switch one thing because I'm going to go to a different thing now. Actually, it's a tube amp, so let it breathe for a second. That is a tube preamp, and then a solid state power amp. So let's get rid of this. So, however, if you've seen me play not in America, or perhaps on a fly-in gig, I have this thing with me, and I also have this just on top of my amp usually, as a backup head. Now this thing is called a quilter, and it's another bass head, and I can't make it. There we go. This is what it looks like. Woohoo! So much visual aids. So this is a quilter. This is my backup amp, and it is pretty cool. It is super small, and somehow it is still 800 watts, which is a mess. It's still very, very loud, which is cool. This head rocks too, so it's good. So basically, what I have, why I got that was because I was tired of playing festivals or flying shows or overseas and having a garbage bass amp. So I was like, if I get this thing, I'll always know what I'm dealing with. And that was why I got it, because it's super small. It's like 2 pounds, 1 pound. It's really, really small. Oh, hold on, I can show you. You can see it's this big. Like, it's very, very small. super small. So let me switch over to this. We can listen to this amp. Yeah, Orange does make the same one. I don't know if it's that small. I don't know if it's that small as this little guy. But they didn't make it when I bought it. That's new. Yeah, Orange they didn't have a small option yet. They just had the amp I had, and I wasn't about to bring something with tubes on an airplane. So now we have the Quilter going. So let's hear what that thing sounds like. Let me turn this down. So right away you can hear that this amp doesn't get as nasty as my Orange does. So what I basically, half of the reason for me buying this Orange pedal down here, this guy, was for this amp. So whenever I play this amp, I kind of just always have this on, so you can so this is what it sounds like truly when I'm playing it. Is it 311, Dave? Oh, it's 420. Okay. It's 420. Everyone celebrate. So yeah, so when I'm playing this amp, I almost always have this Orange guy on just to give it a little kick in the ass, to give it some boost and gain, and to kind of get it to sound closer to my Orange. That's the point of that. The problem with that is that takes away my boost. So the workaround I found is I put my octave pedal basically on 100% dry, and then a little bit with the sub octave in there to give it like the slight effect of a boost pedal. It just makes it slightly louder, so it doesn't really gain it up or anything, but it just kind of makes it a little louder so you can hear. So hold on, I'll play. Yeah, so that's kind of how I get around that when we're overseas or I'm using this amp. That's like a little like pretend boost, just, you know, if I need to get real loud at some point. All right, cool. So that is the Quilter. Someone asked me if there was a bass amp that they would suggest, or I would suggest them. I think this amp is great. I think this amp is super simple. It's durable. It's cheap. I think it was like, I think they're like $400. It's super loud. It's just a good sounding amp. You know, it just, and it's a real flat amp. A lot of people like that. You know, they don't want an amp with too much color. My Orange amp has a lot of color. It really sounds like an Orange amp. This one kind of just sounds like just a power amp. It's just real loud. 800 watt bass amp. It's cool. It's a cool amp. It's really cheap, or not, not cheap, but like it's affordable, and it's really small. Fits in your backpack. It's cool. It's a cool amp. That's one of the few things I bring whenever we fly somewhere. I bring that amp, and I bring my pedal board, and I bring my in-ears. That's it. And I bring my bass, obviously. I leave everything else. All right, so now let's get to the weird shit. So, like I said, sometimes when it's just me and Jeff and Kevin, this junk, actually. When it's just me, Jeff, and Kevin, I will take my bass and I will shift it up an octave through a guitar amp to give the effect of a rhythm guitar player for points. So like Jeff can like do leads, and then I'll have the bass and then another thing doing the guitar. So the way we do that is I have this pedal. This is orange amp detonator. And actually, obviously, this tape usually isn't on there. There's supposed to be another button there, but I took it off because it would switch between just the bass shifted an octave and then not that, which I never want. I only want just the non-affected bass and then both. So I would accidentally step on this, and then all I would have is a bass octave shifted up, and that sounds crazy by itself. So I just removed that button. Yes. So let's hook this thing up because this is fun. So what we have to do is we have to basically, and usually when I would do this, I would basically redo my whole pedal board, because this would sit actually next to the fuzz pedal, and then the Pog would be where the ABY is. But I don't want to take apart my pedal board right now. I'm just going to show you how this works. So let's see here. What do we got to do? So this, let's see. So this guy, oh yeah, that's still on. Maybe I'll turn that off. Mute. All right, so let's see what we got here. So now this has to go into, let's see, so this is the bass, so this will be B, this will be A, this comes out of here, this goes into, all right, let's see, the fuzz into that thing, and then, oh yeah, I see what I did wrong. Then this goes into A, and then this goes into, it's like a puzzle I have to figure out all the time. So fuzz goes into there, A goes to B goes to that, A goes into the plug. Oh, that's it. I see. Okay, that's it. Aha, very good. Now I gotta plug it in. All right, cool. All right, so let's get the amp back on. All right, so here I'm back. So the guitar amp I use is this guy. It's a dual Terror. And this cab, which is a an orange 212. As you can see, I have a lot of orange stuff. They are very nice to me, and I am an endorsed artist of theirs. Thank you, Alex. They are very cool. I like their stuff a lot, and that's why I use it. And they in kind, or in turn, are kind and make it not $1 million for me. So, So let's see here. So we have everything hooked up. It should make sound. So right now, oh, look what I've done. Let me undo this. Everything is a mess. It's just a maze of wires. Let's just plug in. Yeah. Hey. All right. So right now, we should have just the bass. Oh, I didn't turn the amp on. Do we have just the bass? Cool. Great, just the bass. So that's just our bass. And then, if we hit this button and it gets blue, so I don't know if you can hear that actually. Let me move this over. There you go. Whoop. I moved the mic a little closer to the guitar amp so you could hear it. Let me turn the amp off, the bass amp, so you could really just hear it. So that's what it sounds like just through the guitar amp. So, I wouldn't necessarily take that sound as a guitar ever. But when you blend it in with a bass, so that's how that kind of works. Move the pedal photo. Oh, okay. You got it. I guess. There you go. Yeah, so like I said, I wouldn't take the guitar on its own, but when you add it in with the Hog, or with the bass, kind of just do it when I'm playing power chords, just so when Jeff is like soloing, there's a little more under it than just normal bass. And then back to normal. So basically it's just a whole lot of noise, and it's pretty crazy, and I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever really seen anyone do that before, in that way, at least. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of these stupid pictures. So yeah, that's the guitar amp situation. Yeah, so that's how I do that. Basically, you know, the idea of all this was, at the beginning, it was kind of like, how do we get this, you know, how do we get, like, because at the beginning it was just the three of us, it was just me, Jeff, and Kevin, playing on our first tour, and it was kind of like, how do we get this, you know, how do we make as much noise as possible with just the three of us? So we were kind of just coming up with ideas, you know. you know, we all play electronic instruments too, and then maybe if I played a guitar at you know, the bass in a guitar range, you know, so it's just doing just stuff to just not be a normal three-piece, and just kind of see how we can get as big and quiet as possible, way more than a normal three-piece would. So that was the thought process on that. Okay, so I think that's all the music-y gear stuff. So now I can show y'all how the in-ears work and how we set up monitors for them and a network and all that stuff. So let me go get that. Okay, so, the in-ears, fun stuff, exciting, extremely not punk, but sometimes you gotta hear. I was talking to Tom from the Menzingers when we were on tour with them, and he had in-ears, and I was like, why do you have those? Why? What's the point? And he said he was making a list of every reason a show would go poorly for him, and at the top of that list was his monitor mix was shitty. So he was like, what can I do to fix that? And getting in-ears was a fix. I was like, that's a good point, because I can't hear fucking anything when we're playing. So I got them too. They're not cheap, but they are a thing that protects my hearing. It's a lot quieter for me on stage now. I make the stage quieter because there's not a giant speaker shooting noise at me, which I'm sure the rest of the band appreciates. And it mostly just protects my hearing, and it makes it so every show kind of sounds the same, which is important when you play a lot of shows, because it's really easy for a bad show to put you in a bad mood, or bad sounding show to put you in a bad mood. It's hard to perform, as you can imagine. So this was an easy solution. It just makes sense. So I have these Sennheiser EW300 G3 series something. And the way these work is there's this pack thing I just showed you, and then there's this. Comes in this neat little case, and then there's this guy, and this is the receiver, and this basically just plugs an XLR right in the back of it, and that connects straight to the front of house console, the monitor console, and instead of all my monitor sound situation coming through a physical speaker in front of me, it just comes through this, which transmits to the transmitter, which goes into these headphones, which I had made by this company called Dream Ears. Check them out. They are these are actually pretty cheap. As far as custom ears go, these are super cheap. These were $400, which is like 3 times less what they should be, something like that. And these are triple drivers, so that means there's 2 tweeters and a sub in these. So, and these are molded specifically for my ears, so they fit right in, and they completely seal up my ear, so I can't hear anything when these things are in, even if there's no sound coming through. So that plugs into here, and then I hear. Instead of a box on the floor, they go into headphones in my ear. And you know what? It always sounds better, because those boxes on the floor, sometimes they're blown up. These aren't blown up. These sound great. So that's how that works. And at the beginning of every day, I turn it on. Turn the thing on, so you see, it says my name. And then I go to this setting, I'll show it to you. See if I can remember how to use my in-ears. Clearly I can't. No. Nope. Oh, that's where I want to be. Why are you muted, stupid? There we go. So there's a button in here called Easy Setup. You click that, and then it says Scan New List. I don't know if you can see. And you click that, and now it's thinking. So what it's doing right now is it's scanning every frequency in its bandwidth in this area. And it's going to tell me what frequency has the least amount of traffic in it. So that's where it's going to tell me you should put your ears on this place today so you don't have the radio or helicopters interrupting your show and talking in your ear. This is super helpful. I don't know. I'm also a live sound engineer for corporate stuff when I'm not playing punk music. We use a lot of wireless microphones, and they're a nightmare with interference sometimes. And this little function stops that a lot of the time. So right now it's going to say it's just about done. So let's see. What's it going to tell me? So now it says on bank 19, there's 12 free. So you hit enter. So it says, so basically it says 19.1 is free. So it stored it in. So 19.1. So now my situation is on 19.1. And I'll show you the other side of it too. Poor Spinal Tap indeed. What this does, let's unplug it. So this thing's coming on now. So basically all we do with this is we now set this to 19.1. So right now, I'll show you something else too. Right now this light is just red. I hit store on 19.1, and now the green light's on saying that this is now speaking to your guy. So that's it. They plug an XLR into here, and then if I don't have the ability to control my in-ears, I just talk to the monitor people or the front of house people, Rick, as I normally would, and I'd say, instead of putting bass there, put bass in here. It's that easy. It's pretty chill. There's a lot of cheaper ways to do this too now. There's cheaper systems too. I just told my friend Mike to get a Shure one. I think the PM 200, something M200. It's a little less got a little less bells and whistles, but it functions in the same way, more or less. Mine just does a little more and is a little more stable, which I need. So, yeah, that's in-ears. They're pretty easy to deal with, and I think they're great. They're a controversial topic amongst people. People do not like them. They think it is hard to enjoy the moment when you're in those, but for me, I would rather hear for forever, and I would also rather just it always sound good than constantly risking it not sound good, and hearing the crowd a little bit better. And there's ways around that too. You can set up things called ambient mics, which is just microphones pointed at the crowd so it doesn't sound like you're in a tunnel. I don't know. We have 5 vocal mics on stage, or 4 vocal mics on stage, and we're super loud. So there's a lot of fucking ambient noise bouncing around. Yeah. So get into the more fun part. So, nowadays, most consoles, I almost dropped this, are digital, which means that most consoles have the ability to be controlled wirelessly, which was not a thing. Steely Dan, not happening for them. But for most places, you're going to run into a digital console, and probably one made by Midas or Behringer if you're playing small clubs. And that's the one I'll talk about the most on this one and the next part here, because that's the one you're going to mostly see. And if you see something bigger or like fancier than that, there'll probably be a smart person there to just tell you how to do it in their club. But so because most places have digital consoles, and because you can control them with your phone, what I do is I bring one of these to every one of our shows. My name on it. This is basically an old Mac Airport wireless router. It's just this little dopey thing, and it plugs in right to the back of the console. And what I do is I just make a network that's just that console, that only that I have the password to. I give to Kevin and whoever else wants it, and then that makes it so that we can control our mix from our phones. So we don't even have to worry about the monitor people throughout the night. We can control what we're hearing in our ears on our phone as the show's going. So if you've ever seen us play and me or Kevin are fidgeting on our phones like between songs, we're changing our mix. So so maybe after the first song we realize that Kevin doesn't realize he doesn't have enough kick drum, or I don't have enough bass, or I have enough Jeff vocal. We can fix that on the fly without being like, hey, I need more, or like talking to anyone and being like, I want more, and they go, what do you want more of? And then I want guitar, and they go, that's too much, and then it just goes back and forth. You just do it yourself and it's done. So let me show you what that looks like. So more picks. Here we go. What do we got here? So that's not what we want. No, that's not what we want either. So on the Midas or the X32, this is the page, the network page that you'll see when you go to set this up. So sometimes, and I mean a lot of smaller clubs, people just don't do this, so they don't know how to do it. So it's good for you to know how to do it. I had to learn how to do this because I would show them like, hey, can we control our monitors with our phones today? And they'd be like, you can. I don't know how to do it though, so I had to learn how to do it. So step one was buying the router, and step two is figuring out how this works. So like I said, this is going to be the console you run into the most, probably in small places. This is a Midas 32 or a Behringer 32. And this is the page you want to find, the network page. And then basically all you do is you're going to set your IP address, your subnet. The subnet mask is always going to be 255.255.255.0. And then this gateway thing down here, for mine, I just always have it at 0. I don't know what it does. And then this DHCP IP situation here, on all these consoles now, as soon as you plug in your router and you select that button, it's going to tell you what it wants the IP address to be for you to talk to it for the console. It'll tell you the console's IP address on the next well, not for this. I think the gateway honestly doesn't matter because I have it set for 4 zeros all the time and it always works. So anyways, the IP address, the console is going to tell you what it wants to be once you plug in the router. So it'll pick a number one away from the router probably, and then what you do. And for an Apple one, so 192.168 is not an Apple product. My router is an Apple, so it's always 10.0. So instead of 192.168, it's always 10.0. And then you would go onto your iPhone, which would look, or you can go like here, and then on an iPad, and then you would just in the iPad app for the thing, you would just pick the IP address, you'd write it down, the console, and then you'd connect, and now you can talk to the console wirelessly. So let me just try. Let's see here. See if I can find another one. There's another one I had too. No. 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 Where is it? Yeah, so this is what it looks like on a phone when you're using the app. Oh, and then here's what it would look like on. So this is what the screen looks like on your iPhone. So you basically just put in the IP address, what the IP address the console spit out at you. The rest will come through, and then you can use your phone to control your mix. So right here you see it's like this fader. These faders go up and down depending on what you want to hear more of. So if you want to, this person has like even synth, more bass, even DI, even acoustic, a little more trumpet, less 23 and 24, which looks like an iPod or something. But yeah, that's how you change. You just bring these faders up and down, and then you're rocking out, and that's it. So that's how that works. Yeah, so basically you just plug the thing into the back of the console. It'll have a little like network port. You plug it into your router. It'll think for a second. You click that one button for the console to decide where it wants to be in the IP address world, and then you just write that down and you put it on your phone as long as you're on the same network, the internet network, which you will because you have your own little guy, and then you can talk to it, and that's how that works. So it's like magic. Yeah, and when you play like, so that's for the Midas one and the Behringer one. There are other consoles, obviously. So I have like, I don't know, 15 of these apps on my phone. Like I have the Soundcraft one, and the Allen and Heath one, and the Yamaha one, and the other Midas one, and all these other ones. They're not all, you have to get all these apps, but basically they all work the same. Magnets, exactly. They all work the same way. You plug your router in, the console will give you an IP address that it wants to use corresponding with the router. Then you put that on your phone, and you use that in the app, and then you can control your monitors from your phone or your iPad, depending on what you want to use during the show, and you don't have to talk to anyone. And that makes all the difference, honestly. It really does. All right, so then the last thing here, which I think we can do, which will be fun, is let's talk about stage plots. Do you play with click track in your ear monitors? No, we don't. So I was going to get to that once looking at the stage plot. We don't play to any tracks. We don't play to anything pre-recorded. The idea of this band was to be able to do everything like live as it is on the record without playing to anything. The only reason I have in-ears is because it's quieter. Me and Jeff went to go see Travis Morrison's band after Dismemberment Plan like a million years ago, before it was even called anything. And they were playing, they had like 20 people on stage, and they were playing everything in time, like live. And we thought that was the coolest shit ever. And we're like, we should have a band like that. And then Bomb was too dopey to ever figure out how to do that, for a variety of reasons. But this band, less dopey. Kevin is also very talented and can play the drum pad while playing the drums at the same time, which really helps us out. So we're just basically trying to do everything live in time. So there's no click or anything like that happening. That's not why me and Kevin are on in-ears. It's just because we want to hear better. And it's just super loud on stage. If Rick is in here, he can tell you about that. It's very, very loud. It's like being in the ocean for like 90 minutes on stage without in-ears. It's just like, I feel like just pummeled by waves. It's very exhausting. All right, so let's see here. Let me see if I can get... Well, actually, first, what I'll throw up is, let me go back to the Jeff stage plot. So this is what a stage plot looks like. And I don't know if people know what a stage plot looks like, so I'm going to show you. This is what a stage plot looks like. A stage plot is basically a drawing of everything that's going to happen on your stage. And why this is important is because when you're playing a place that you've never been before, the sound people want to set up the stage for your specs before you get there, so they're not wasting any time, so you can just walk on stage and play. Also, it makes you look professional. And I don't know if you've ever played a show before, but sound people are grumpy. They are just mostly angry people. So anything you can do to put them in a better mood, you should try and do. This is one of those things that will make them happy because they like information, and then they'll feel like, you know, you're worth their time or something. I don't know. It's just, you know, you need these people to like you. This is a thing to do. It helps, you know, it helps them understand what the band's gonna need. And also, if you send it in like a week or two ahead of time, they can be like, oh shit, you need 9 DIs. I better go buy a few more so we have them. So what you can see here is, if we go from left to right, you have me. That's me. Exactly. And I'm a sound person too, so I get to talk shit on sound people. So basically you have me. So you see me with a pedal board, keyboards, bells, and I would like power because I want to plug shit in. And then behind me is my bass amp, and then behind that is something entitled Mix 1, which is my in-ears. That's where I leave my in-ears. So next to me is Jeff. So you see him with 2 monitors, a keyboard, and a pedal board, and a DI for his keyboard. You move over to Mike. So we're going left to right like you read. Mike has 1 monitor, a pedal board, a sample pad, and a DI for the sample pad. Go up to Kevin. Kevin has a 4-piece drum set. He has in-ears, and he would like a wedge, which he uses just for sub. He needs a DI. And then you move over to Dan, and Dan's a mess. So Dan has a saxophone, and he sings into his vocal mic. He has an acoustic guitar, which goes into a DI. He has a keyboard, which needs 2 DIs because it's got a little baby synth brain on top of it, so that they both need a channel. And then for this was our European stage plot. So we didn't have another amp for Dan to play out of, so he was playing his lap steel through a DI. But usually he'll have another guitar, a little baby guitar amp. It's actually behind me. I'll show it to you in a second. This like little trash amp that Fender sent us. That's perfect for you know, the 38 seconds Dan plays lap steel a set. But yeah, so that's our stage plot. So you can see there's a lot going on here. So you want people to have this information because there's a ton of stuff happening. And then under it, all those words, that is our input list. So it starts with the drums, it goes to the bass next, then the guitars, then the not guitar stuff. So acoustic, lap steel, keys. Then it goes into the samplers. The last thing is the Glock, and then always at the end is the vocals. That's just how you're supposed to do it. I guess you could put it in a different order than that, but 98% of people are going to be sad. You do drums, bass, guitar, not guitars, then vocals. That's just the way it goes. I don't know. I don't know why. That's just it. And then under that, it has all the monitor mixes. So mix 1 is me, and it says where it goes, and it says what I'd like. Mix 2 is Jeff. It says where it goes and what he would like in it. So I would like snare, kick, drum pad, bass mic, bass vocal, center vocal, key vocal. So I want to hear everyone sing except Mike, which is kind of mean, but like I said, the in-ears are for my hearing, and me and Mike don't really sing together ever, so I don't really need to hear him. Also, I can kind of hear everyone anywho, just from everyone else's mic. Jeff wants to hear his guitar, his keys, his center vocal, and Dan. Mike wants to just hear his vocal. Dan wants to hear Jeff and all of his keyboards and his acoustic. And Kevin just wants to hear the drums. He doesn't even want to hear Jeff's vocal. He can hear Jeff's vocal loud enough through the monitors because there's 2 of them. So that just gives the monitor people like a good head start on like where they should start. They should start the their pre-mix. So they, you know, this is also like everyone can get ready at the venue before you get there. So you can get on stage and you can immediately start making noise and not be waiting around. Oh, and before actually we build a stage plot, let me just show you. Well, actually, no, we'll do the stage plot now. So let me go back to me, which is this button. Hi again. All right, so let's see here. What does this look like? Is this flipped? We have a very professional setup here. Oh, I see. This is what I want to do. All right. So let's get the. Oh yeah, this has to go here now. Hold on a second. Let me get the second computer working. We want to zoom out. The wicked glare. That help that? Yes. Yes, it does. Very good. Okay, cool. Can you refocus it on the screen? I'm trying. So, so here we go. So this is a program called Stage Plot Pro. Let's see if I can get this thing more on the screen here. And this guy is free for a few months, I believe. So since you probably only need to make a stage plot once for your band, just get it. So I think we should make a stage plot for everyone's favorite band, 311. So let's see how we do that. So up here we have percussion. It's hard to see, but you'll see the actual things. So let's throw a big old drum set up here. So we'll start with the drums, because that's the first thing you want to start with. So there we go. So basically all we're doing is we're just putting the pictures, you know, of the instruments that we're going to find on stage. So the sound people, when they get to the show that day, they know what mics to set up. So we'll go with 311 today. So they have a drummer, and I bet he has some sort of weird drum machine situation. So we'll put that over by him too. So that's good. All right, now let's go to the bass player. So Peanut stands over here. He probably plays 15s, I bet. No, that's wrong. That looks bad. Bass. I bet he plays. Give him a big old 810. All right, so there's the bass amp. Very good. So that's good. And then we need a guitar amp. Tom, is that his name? Right? I think his name's Tom. I bet he has a Marshall. Let's give him a stack. That's cool. All right. Tim Mahoney. That's it. I remember. Okay. So 311, for you guys I know, is actually there's two guitar players. So there's two guitars, bass, and drums. So what we've done is we've put on our stage plot two guitars, Marshall, and this guitar, a bass amp, and a drum set. Wish this could look a little better. Here, there we go. Look at that. Now you can kind of see it better. That's cool. Now it kind of like looks like something. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There it is. All right. Shut up, Dave. All right. So now let's start laying out.
Oh, DJ gear. That's what we want. So
this is where SA goes, I think. He goes somewhere back here with his DJ stuff. I think it's near the drums. So let's say there. All right. So now we have 2 guitars, bass, drums, DJ. So I think that encompasses all the instruments we need to note on this stage plot. So now let's do direct boxes. So now a direct box is basically how you plug not a microphone into a PA. So like acoustic guitars go in a direct box. DJ stuff goes in a direct box. Keyboards go in a direct box. They basically take a line level and turn it into mic level. Very simple explanation. They do different more than that, but that's kind of what's happening. It's just basically taking it so you can plug something into the PA and having it be the way the PA wants to see it. So, direct boxes. We have 9 of these. We need 9 of them or something dumb like that. So, SA gets 2, a stereo, left and a right, because music, DJ stuff is left, right. Let's do a direct box mono for the drum machine. And then, let's do a direct box for the bass DI. There we go. So now we have all our DIs done. So now, let's go to vocals. Where's that? Gotta be somewhere. Oh, mics. Okay. So, let's give the singer a straight stand. And then we'll give Tim a boom stand, because guitar players like boom stands. And then we'll give Peanut a boom as well. And then we'll also give SA a stand, no mic, straight stand, because he has a wireless mic. So there, that's where it goes. All right. So now we have our microphones, our vocal microphones, and our band. So now let's look at monitors. So for sure, let's rotate this. Whoop. There we go. So for sure, our drummer is going to want a monitor. For sure, SA at the DJ situation is going to want a monitor. And then all the singers want one too. So now, when you look at this, if you're a venue person, you'll go, okay, so there's 4 singers, there's 5 people probably in the band, each of them gets a monitor, there's 1 bass, 2 guitars, the drummer has a drum, electronic drum trigger thingy situation too, and there's a DJ. So right away, you know a bunch about this band before they even get there. So you can set up for them, and they're not waiting around for you, once they get there. And you make the venue happy because now they have information on you, and it's correct, and it looks good. This is super, super easy to understand. Let's see. So let's just finish this out. Just remember, we got some pedal boards. Listen, guitar player, he's got pedal boards. He's got a Pog for sure. Bass, pedal board, fantastic. And then it's a singer. He plays guitar too. He's got a pedal board. So you got 3 right there. And then when we make our European one, I like to put the power, so they know we are from America and need electricity that will work for us. So where is that electric drop? So right here, see, you got 240, 120. So I just do 120 everywhere. So now they know we need electricity for Americans, and if not, to maybe, let us know that they don't have any sort of transformers or any sort of converters for us. Basically, these are just other ways where you can, show up to a show and there's no surprises. Finally, electricity for Americans. It is, listen, when you plug your thing into something, when you plug your 120 into 240, it's a big old bummer, and I've done it so many times. All right, what else do we have here? And then, so the only thing else to do with this is basically just do your input list. Which is, I don't even know where it is. Where is my input list? Oh, it's down here. All right. Doo, 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 doo. Yeah, so that's it for this. There's really nothing more you got to do with this. Like I said, let me get rid of this for a second. Get out of here, camera. So yeah, like I said, this is the Jeff one. This is what it looks like when you go pretty ham. And that, basically just shows what anyone would want to know about that band. So we have ours here, and then we have 311, basically, right there. 2 guitars, bass, drums, DJ, 4 vocals, a couple DIs, pedal boards. So all that stuff is right there for them. So if 311 shows up to the local talent show, they bring that there, and the sound people are going to know what to do with them. All right. I think that's it. Those are all my tricks. Does anyone have any questions? Is anyone even in here still? I don't even know how to check. Oh, there seems to be a fair bit of people here. Does anyone want to ask anything? Any things they want to see again? Or no question? 40 of us. Oh, great. I got Ampeg V4. Updated. I can't. That went too fast. It probably costs much to get reliable and cost me, but I should sell it, right? I don't know. Ampeg V4s are sick. That's what Jeff uses to record all his guitar parts with. I certainly wouldn't a V4B. I had a V4B. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't tour with that. Those giant amps, they're fragile. They sound super cool. Those things are so heavy. So heavy. You could play guitar out of a V4B, though. The only thing the V4B and the V4 don't have, or difference, is there's a reverb chamber in the V4. And that's it. That's the only difference. You can play sick. That was like the 90s like stoner metal guitar amp, because they're like a billion tube watts. They're so loud. They're great sounding amps. I would get it fixed and just have it be like a amp you record with. I wouldn't tour with something like that. It's too big and gnarly and heavy and fragile and everything, and no one's going to want to pick it up. You're going to have to carry it in yourself every day. No one wants that. Anything else? I'm playing with that Sun model A through an ABY. That sounds great. Sun makes great stuff. Anyone else? Questions? Before we finish, or I guess if we are done, it's fun. Remember, if you want to throw me some bucks, because this is my job now, is hanging out and trying to figure out how to make my day, do interesting things during my day until my girlfriend gets done working upstairs at her at-home job. So just trying to figure out stuff to do. I'm probably my industry is probably done for a long time, and God knows when music is going to start again. So if you can throw some bucks, that's cool. If you can't, that's cool too. I still like doing this. This is fun. I think tomorrow I might play some video games on Twitch for a change. Wouldn't that be cool? And then on Wednesday, I'm going to do a cover of a we're going to go through another cover again, where I kind of just show you how I would do that and what sounds to pick and how I go about breaking down songs. And it's going to be a song of a special birthday boy that day. Someone missed the pedalboard. Well, I'll show you a picture of it. Boop. Nope, that's not it. Where is it? Boop. That's the pedalboard. You want to hear it? Would that be helpful? Or... So, like I said, pedalboard. That's just a straight up Korg tuner. That is a TC Electronics compressor pedal. Very basic. I think it was like $40. Also, too, all of these are positioned in the wrong way. This pedal should really be at the end. The preamp should also be at the end. But this is how I like it. I don't know why. This is just the way this is set up. When I move these things around, it doesn't sound as good to me. Maybe that's because my brain is broken, but I just think this way sounds the best. So anyway, TC Electronics compressor. This is a boutique pedal, like a dude in his like shack in the woods made. This is basically to be the front end of an orange AB200 or AD200. AD200 head, their big like giant amp, their big famous one. And I basically use it just as an overdrive. This is a Cloven Hoof by Earthquaker Devices, and this is a Pog by Electro Harmonics. And this is a ABY pedal from Whirlwind. So that's the pedal board. Anything else? Going once. Going twice. Sold. Okay. This has been like, what games you gonna stream? Zelda. The one on the Switch. Not Breath of the Wild. The other one that just came out. Link's Awakening, right? I only have like an hour into it. So, I think it would be kind of fun to do that. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Probably around the same time. How often are you running the ABY as a Y? All the time. The ABY is constantly a Y because it is constantly my bass and my keyboard that I play through my amp. So actually, here, this is actually interesting and confusing. I will show you this. I'm here. Snaking chords all over the world. No, it's not my bass going to two different amps. It's my bass and my keyboard going two different places. Oh, this is all fucking different now. That's right. Let's redo this. Okay. And bass. Okay, so the ABY is so I can play the bass, and the keyboard, I'll show you. I don't have a keyboard today, but this is the same idea. So they both happen at the same time. And a thing I found out is when I have it set as a Y, I recommend the Boss 3 put individual gain. Oh, that's important, actually. That's pretty good. Because when I have both of them plugged in, I actually lose signal on both of them. And that is where the compressor pedal actually comes in handy, because it gives me back that level that I lost when I plug in both the keyboard and the bass at the same time. That's another thing that I don't necessarily know the name for. I know something bad is happening I was told the Morley ABY pedal would solve that because it has a transformer in it or something, but alas, it does not. But yeah, so that is what the ABY is doing, and it is always doing that. It is always on. But also, that does provide one last level of more sound if I want. So I can undo the Y and just have the bass, and then that gives me an additional boost that I'll do like at the very, very end of the night and super, super bum out Rick, our sound guy, because then all of a sudden the bass just jumped like 10 dB for no reason. He doesn't like that. But yeah, so that's good. I didn't know about that. The individual gain thing is super sick. We're all here to learn, you know? Lots of stuff going on. That's cool. I'll probably get that if it ever breaks. Love to learn. You gotta learn. All right, so yeah, like I said, if you wanna throw some bones my way, that'd be cool. If not, that's cool too. I'll see you guys probably tomorrow, where I will be Zeldaing, probably, if I can figure out how to get that to work. As you can see here, all this shit is a fucking mystery to me. So, kind of, you know, learning as I go. And I hope you learned anything. I hope some of this was helpful to, you know, stuff. You know, I hope some of you guys learned some tricks or some tips or just things you maybe didn't know. I'm always available to talk to. You can just find me on the internet and ask me questions, and I'll always answer them. I love talking about this shit. Yeah, and I still haven't figured out if I will, but I would like to do something like this once a week, where we can kind of just get together and we can kind of just talk about anything, like me, like this, in this world. I mean, you can tell me about like your cat or whatever, or the food you ate that day too, if you really want. But I'm not. I don't know if I'm a great person to listen to that stuff. Kind of understand more of this world. So if you want to get together and just like talk about how a song goes, or like why someone would play this over that part, or how does this amp sound versus that amp, or what do you think about this pedal, or hey, my band will one day want to start touring. What do you suggest? Do we have any advice? You could pick my brain about that stuff. I've been doing this for as my job for 13 years now, almost, probably. So I've learned a little bit, a tiny bit, and I would love to give back any information I have, because the amount of mistakes we made were so many, and I would love for people to not make them. That's the goal here, is to just get all y'all to the promised land with as little breakdowns and disasters as possible. So yeah, that's it. I have to clean up my basement now because everything is everywhere. I bet my cat's really hungry too. It's time to feed her. So yeah, that's that. I'll see you tomorrow, probably. If not, I'll definitely be on Wednesday doing that song for a birthday boy. All right. See y'all later.